Welcome to InfoPlace Canada's YouTube channel. Hello everyone, this is Florence Apan, lead consultant at InfoPlace Canada. How are you doing? Today I will be talking about 4 popular provinces that actually immigrants from out of the country have a good chance of getting provincial nominations for. The first one is going to be, of course, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has been pretty good for quite a number of years now with getting immigrants into Canada, high-skilled immigrants who are looking to immigrate to Canada. In Saskatchewan, there are 2 major programs that do exist. Saskatchewan, we have the International Skilled Worker Express Entry category, and we also have the Occupation in Demand categories. Their criteria are very similar. The major difference is that one requires you to have an express entry profile, and then once you have the express entry profile, you then assess yourself with the Saskatchewan grid that you do meet the minimum criteria to submit a profile in Saskatchewan. So the fact that you have an express entry profile does not just automatically make you qualify for the Saskatchewan one. So you actually have to apply to see if you actually meet the criteria to then apply through the Saskatchewan one. The occupation in demand route in Saskatchewan is the one that you don't have to have express entry profile. I've had clients who have used this, and these are typically clients like in their 40s who don't quite meet or have not met the criteria to get into the express entry pool, or because of one thing or the other their scores are less, but they have many years of experience, so they're able to make up for that to be able to qualify for the occupation in demand. Those are the 2 programs. One of the common thing with both programs is that they have an occupation in demand list. So there's a list of occupations that are in demand in Saskatchewan. Your occupation has to be on that list for you to be able to apply through the program. If your occupation is not on the list, even if you meet the 60-point criteria, you would still not be able to apply through Saskatchewan. There are 2 programs, and one is express entry, one is not express entry, a route for immigrants outside the country. Those 2 are the most popular programs in Saskatchewan. The next province is Alberta. Alberta has a unique system in that it actually goes into the express entry pool to invite applicants, qualified applicants that meet their criteria, who signified interest that they would like to live in Alberta. So when you're creating your express entry profile, you have the option to select what province you would like to go to. If you select Alberta, there's a potential that you could receive an invitation from the province of Alberta to apply. They state that you need to have strong ties there, be it that you went to school there, have family member there, or none of that. But I've also had clients where they had no ties to Alberta who received invitations to apply through the province of Alberta. So that's one of the provinces, and that's the route that they have. In Alberta, you have to be in the express entry pool for you to be picked out in order to apply through the province of Alberta. So slightly different from Saskatchewan, where you have to then qualify for the Saskatchewan system as well to express yourself and then get invited. Alberta, just be in the express entry pool. That's good enough for them. They'll find you there, and that's how Alberta works. The next popular province is Ontario. Ontario is very unique in how it invites people. It focuses sometimes on just French speakers for certain occupations. It will just go into the express entry pool as well, invite all French speakers out of the express entry pool. They also have the human capital category, where if you're a skilled worker and you meet the criteria for Ontario, you would receive an invitation, and if your occupation is in demand at that time. With Ontario, they have an occupation list. They have a targeted occupation list. Right now, they have the tech stream as well, where there are certain tech professionals who are in demand in Ontario. If they're having a draw for the tech stream, those are the professionals they'll be looking for. But Ontario is unique in one thing. One thing I didn't mention about Alberta was that Alberta would invite you even if your score is as low as 300. As long as your express entry profile is not expiring in 3 months and your score is as low as 300 and you meet the minimum criteria that they're looking for and the occupation they're looking for, Alberta would invite you. But Ontario, it's different. Ontario could be looking for managers, they could be looking for IT professionals, but they have a cutoff. And one thing that we have noticed about the Ontario cutoff is that with their cutoff, they're always closely aligned with express entry. So either a few points off or very close to it. They would have a draw where they're inviting applicants that score 467 and above. So like literally, it's almost the same thing as express entry. In 20 2019, they went as low as like 435, 439 when they were inviting like the different occupations and stuff. It's changed over time, and the scores are going to look like express entry. So the stakes are really high for Ontario as well. I wouldn't even blame them. The competition to go to Ontario is huge. Everybody wants to go to Ontario and things like that. In most cases, most people want to go there. So the demand is typically huge on them. So that's the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. This is through the express entry system as well. So you have to have an express entry profile in order for you to actually benefit from the Ontario program and meet their criteria as well, which the stakes are high. It doesn't end when you're just invited. They have their own unique criteria that even after you've received the invitation, if your profile does not actually match what they're looking for, you might still not be able to get that provincial nomination. So it's important to be very careful with all of these provinces that they have that. The fourth province that is actually very, very good as well with inviting immigrants from out of Canada who don't necessarily have ties here, family members or any of that, is Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia had a program before. 2018 was the last time that they've actually had a draw for that program. So it was the express entry category B. Category B was good and very bad too, because they would tell you 24 hours before it's opening. If you had not had your documents in place, your paperwork in place, in order for you to actually apply through that, you miss out on it. You miss the whole opportunity basically. And when it actually opened, you were not able to get in. I'm a consultant, and I can tell you that I had clients who I was not able to submit application for in that category of Nova Scotia. At some point, I stopped taking clients for it because it was almost impossible. If you had 5 clients, who are you putting in and who are you not putting in? I wasn't doing that anymore, but I was helping people prepare their application, get ready so that on that day, they can try to get in for themselves and submit their applications as well. So that's that old program. But what has happened since November 2018 is that a lot has changed with how Nova Scotia has been administering their programs. I actually had spoken to some of their program managers in 2018 and just complaining about how it was unfair the way the program was ran. They might as well just select people from the express entry system and all of that. Why they've not changed or cancelled that program? We have actually noticed a shift in how things have been done. Because in 2019, they were focused more on selecting, okay, this month, like in January of 2019, they went into the express entry pool and invited any accountant who signified interest to go to Nova Scotia whose score was 400 and above. So that was amazing. That was good. It was easy. Like you just woke up and you received your invitation. That was just simple. And then you had 30 days to package your application and submit it. And that was just fantastic. That was so much better. And it went on like that throughout the year. They invited early childhood educators until in October when they invited nurses. 2 of my clients actually received the invitation for the nursing and were able to progress on. These were people that had been in the express entry pool almost a year, had nothing really happening quickly for them, and they were able to proceed on with the application for Nova Scotia, get their nomination, which then increased their express entry points by 600, and then were able to progress on. So in all of this, when you are able to receive that invitation to apply and you can get nominated by the province, you get that 600 point that we talked about. And that super increases your chances, of course, of becoming permanent residents. Just to recap, Saskatchewan has the express entry category that goes through the express entry system. And it also has one that doesn't have the express entry category that applicants from all over the world can apply through. The 3 other provinces, Alberta, Ontario and Nova Scotia, actually use the express entry system to invite applicants to apply. These provinces are the ones that are focused on because they are the 4 that applicants get to find a lot of success with. Again, it's not easy. You can't just apply to them, just like I said in my first video. What this is that you're not going to just be able to just apply. They have criteria. They have to invite you before you can apply. And when these provinces invite you, you have to meet their own criteria to be nominated. And when you're nominated, then it progresses onto your express entry system. I hope this helps. The thing is, they're very diverse criteria. And most of the times, like I said in my previous video, you don't have to wait until you receive that invitation before you start putting your ducks in the row and putting your things together. Most of the times, those invitations have 30 days turnaround. So you kind of have to know exactly exactly what your documents should look like, what the criteria are. Make sure you have your things all pieced together because you don't want to rush and make any mistake. Because again, with how challenging and how competitive all of this is, you want to make use of every opportunity that you get. You don't want to lose any time with it or even stand your application being refused. So it's important to do the legwork, go ahead of time, get things ready. If you're not sure what you may qualify for or what provinces you may have options with, definitely book a consultation. We can talk about it, we can look at your experience and see what your options are, and then I'll be able to advise you on what the criteria, requirements, things you should look out for are, and then you can be ready when these opportunities open up so then you can actually apply. That's it. 4 provinces you should be looking at as at today. It could change, other provinces could expand their programs and all of that, but those are the 4 right now that actually open up to immigrants outside the country. For immigrants in country that are temporary workers, students, I'll probably do another video just talking about what the options look like, because those ones are a whole lot more, because most of the provinces have programs that are specific to immigrants who have jobs in their province, who have schooled in their province and things like that. So it's very, very important to ensure that you know what those are so that you're not just relying only on the express entry system to get to permanent residence, because you have options. Anyways, thank you very much. This was a quick one and I hope this answers your question. Again, it's very general, just to give anyone who is just looking for a general understanding how does this work and things like that. If you want anything specific to just you can visit my website www.infoplacecanada.ca to book a consultation with me, and I'll be more than happy to work with you through exactly what your options are. Thank you very much once again, and if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and share this video, and I hope to see you on my next video. Thank you very much and have a great week ahead of you.